All right, today marks the 5-year anniversary of Austin Police Department Chief Art Acevedo. First day on the job. I can't believe it's been 5 years. Remember that day?
Yes, I do. It was a whirlwind day, but it was a great day. Probably one of the highlights of my life for me and my family, and we're pretty happy that day.
All the way from California, and probably on the first day of your job, you had a lot of work to do, right? I mean, one of the things you said you wanted to do when you first got here was kind of build the relationship the community had with APD.
Yeah, and I made a lot of promises. I promised to be very visible, very engaged, very transparent, and I think if anybody went back and looked at all the promises, there were promises made, and I really feel strongly that we've kept them. We've become more efficient. We've really become a intelligence-led policing department, data-driven police department. Consequently, we have officers that, despite a budget that has a pretty slim budget in terms of real dollars, we're still reducing crime, and it's because of that partnership with the community.
And what is it about the 5 years that you would say would be your biggest accomplishment?
Still being alive and surviving 5 years.
Well, you've had a rocky 5 years too.
Yeah, one of the things I'm really proud of is that I inherited a Department of Justice investigation that, quite frankly, I was excited about because they actually confirmed and affirmed my observations as the incoming chief. So it wasn't just me saying, hey, we need to do A, B, C, D. The validation they provided helped me really navigate the change that had happened. And this is the same Department of Justice that put a lot of departments around the country under consent decree, and we navigated it, and we're a much better department as a result.
But the reason they were investigating the Austin Police Department is because of complaints of severe force, especially with some officer-involved deadly shootings.
Yeah, and I think it was a tremendous opportunity, but I want to remind everybody what they found, that we do not engage in a pattern and practice of violating people's constitutional rights as it relates to the way we police, and as the way it relates to our use of deadly force. There's facts, and there's people just believe what they want to believe. We are a very controlled department, especially when you compare us to other major cities around the country.
When it comes to deadly force, you were out on a number of officer-involved shootings, and your critics would say that maybe you were a little too quick to justify the actions of your police officers.
Show me one where the evidence, the grand jury process, and the entire process showed that we made the wrong call. What people don't understand is that when we go to the scene, I don't go there just to say hi to people. I go there to look with my own eyes at the evidence. I go to look with my own eyes at people's demeanor, what they're saying. I ask questions of the officers, and you get a real feel from the onset of exactly what you've got. The Sanders shooting, there was two parts to that shooting. There was the driver and there was the passenger. You all remember that based on everything we saw, we were pretty comfortable. But on the second piece with the passenger, I said, hey, I was very, very cautious because there was a lot to look at before we made a final decision. And the bottom line is, if we say something at the beginning and it turns out not to be true, we're going to turn around and make the right call. One
of the scenes that you were out on, and you probably will never forget, is the shooting of Officer Jaime Padron. How difficult was that day for you?
That, anytime you lose a family member, especially when you see an officer in this uniform lying in their own pool of blood, it is something you don't forget. There's two things that really impact you: children and people in uniform. It's a day I will not forget. It'll be etched in my mind and my heart and my soul. It's like a lot of things you see in this career that really touch you, but it was a true blessing because, the critics in this city are few, but they are loud, they're consistent, and they're, given a lot of airtime. My officers might start thinking, hey, we're not supported. And that gift that he gave us was the opportunity for this city to show the men and women in blue just how truly they're admired and supported. And it was a great gift that he gave us on his way to heaven.
Well, a gift, some people would say, especially Bruce Mills, that you probably missed your calling as a preacher. When you were talking about Officer Padron and just your police department as a whole that day.
Yeah, well, I try to speak from the heart, and I just thank God that that day somehow he motivated me and inspired me to say the right words. But when you're dealing with a great person, and Jaime Padron, and everything you say is truthful. You don't have to search too hard to say good things about that young man. He was a very special human being, and I miss him. I know his family misses him. I just took his daughters to see Brave the other day.
You did?
Yeah, great movie.
Such cute girls, too.
Yeah, they're great girls.
Yeah.
The little redhead with the Scottish accent after a while was getting... It was at the Alamo Draft House. I was okay. I got to eat great popcorn and food.
A little too much. Brandon Daniel, you know, he was in court just yesterday. Rosemary Lundberg still not sure if she's going to pursue the death penalty. Will you weigh in on any of that? Well,
you know, from my perspective, is when you murder somebody as callously as he did, and you attack somebody in a uniform, that's really it's really you're attacking the fabric, the fiber of a community. You know, we are truly the last line between order and chaos in a city. I strongly feel, and I've expressed this to the district attorney's office, that it should be left up to the people of this city. It should be left up to the community. Let them make the call one way or the other.
Really?
Because at the end of the day, it's their officer that was murdered. It was their officer that was savagely attacked, and it was their peace that was really just shattered that morning. And so I really feel strongly that that's a matter for the people of this city through the trial process to decide.
Okay. We were this close to losing you to Dallas. You're a finalist for the police chief over there. Are you going to stay in Austin? You know, I've been here for 5 years. You know, I'll be honest with you. People always tease me, you're a rock star, you're this, you're that. I'm not a fool. I know that I'm one controversial way for being on the unemployment line because people don't remember the body of work. They just remember the last major incident. And so I'm happy. My wife is really happy here. She loves it. I've had opportunities that I've flirted with, and she's put her foot down and said, absolutely not. I love Austin. But I stayed with Dallas, and I changed my mind because the way the community responded, and most importantly, the way the men and women of the Austin Police Department responded, they, by and large, didn't want me to leave, and that really touched my heart. Yeah, they told you not to go. But you're from a big city in California. You're from L.A. Right. Do you feel like sometimes we're living in this big city? With big city crime? Here's the issue that I have. We're in this huge city, and we act like, hey, this is a little small town. We're a huge city. We're now number 13. We're bigger than San Francisco. We're bigger than Seattle, Atlanta, Boston. I can go on. And people act like we're a small college sleeping town. My biggest fear is that if we don't wake up and smell the growth, smell the reality, we're going to lose the essence of what's Austin. That's that it's a very safe city. All right, Police Chief Art Acevedo, thank you for waking up with us early this morning on your 5-year anniversary today. Thank you. Appreciate your time. Take care. All right.